After a decade of producing music on my Yamaha HS8s, it's time for them to come down. G'day legends. As you can probably tell, this video is all about upgrading my studio monitors. Now, you might be wondering, why have I waited so long to do this? Now, I'm actually asking that same question myself, but I think the fact is, you get used to what you're working on and you just soldier on. I have become very used to the Yamaha HS8s, which makes it actually a little scary jumping to some new monitors. And I have spent a really long time looking into monitors, researching them. This has not been a light decision. This has been probably over a year that I've been considering this and trying to decide which monitors are going to be my new monitors in the studio. Now, one of the hard things about choosing monitors when you live somewhere like Australia is there's not really any stores that you can go and listen to a lot of high-end monitors side by side. So it's almost impossible to compare monitors and really figure out what you like. So most of the research I've done has just been online, reading forums, and I know a lot of that stuff is kind of redundant. Like this video might be redundant to some of you guys. That is because you really do need to hear the speakers in your own space to know if you like them or not. And what's going to be fun about this video is this is the first time I'm going to hear these speakers in person. So I've taken a massive roll of the dice here, and I'm feeling pretty confident about it. I think these are going to be quite a nice upgrade, but at the same time, it's terrifying, and you get to experience that right here with me right now. Now you're probably wondering, which monitors did I land upon? Well, let's check it out. So as you can see, I've chosen the Genelec 8351Bs, the ones. Now, as I said, I haven't heard these speakers yet. We're going to set them up, we're going to calibrate them, we're going to do the full thing, but just looking at these monitors, pulling them out of the box was a real wow moment. They are amazing. They look so darn good. Just the quality of them, they look amazing. I know I've looked at pictures of these for a long time, but seeing them in person is actually a really different experience because they're just amazing. So why the 8351Bs? I could have gone for the 8361As. They're the flagship model, but honestly, they're probably a little too big for my studio. These feel appropriately sized. Now, I did consider getting the sub to go with these monitors, but I thought, let's just try the monitors out, see how they go, see if I feel like I need the sub. I've never worked with a sub before, and I haven't really felt like I've needed one. And these monitors go all the way down to 32 Hertz and all the way up to 43,000 kilohertz. So I feel like there should be enough information here to work with, at least to start with anyway. They have a higher headroom, which is great when you need to crank those monitors up. You're going to still get a nice, clear, balanced sound without adding a ton of coloration and distortion. The 8351B uses a coaxial three-way design. That just means the tweeter and mid-range sit in the same spot. So the speaker acts like all the sound comes from one point. That makes the stereo image really solid and easy to judge. It's also a three-way system, so the highs, mids, and lows each have their own driver. Nothing is overworked, and everything sounds clean and clear. The woofers are hidden inside the cabinet, which keeps the point source effect while still giving you proper low end. So basically, in short, you get accurate imaging, smooth response, and a speaker that tells the truth. So that's what really excites me about these monitors and why I chose to go with the Genelec 8351Bs. Now, these monitors are also part of the SAM family of Genelec, the Smart Active Monitors, which supports room compensation, level, delay adjustments, and equalization when used with the GLM software. Now, I also have the GLM kit that I'm going to be using with these monitors to calibrate them and get them sounding the very best that they can within my space. GLM stands for Genelec Loudspeaker Manager, and it's basically their way of doing room correction and just getting your monitors sounding the very best they can. So with the GLM kit, you get this device which you plug your monitors into, as well as your calibration microphone, and it does all the voodoo to get you set up. This is the measurement microphone that comes with the GLM kit. You put this in your listening position, sitting it upright like this, not pointing at the source, but actually pointing it upwards. Now, before we get this all set up, calibrated, and get into that first listening experience, I do want to thank the sponsors of this video, and that is Studio Connections. They are a pro audio distributor in Australia. Now, if you have been going down the rabbit hole of searching for your next pair of monitors, and you have landed upon Genelec like myself, if you are an Australian audio engineer, then hit that link in the description below so you can see all of the stores that Studio Connections distributes their Genelec monitors to. If you are in the States and you want to help support this channel, then make sure you hit that Sweetwater affiliate link and grab your Genelec monitors through those guys. Doesn't cost you anything extra, but using that link does send a small kickback to this channel, which is a great way of showing your support. In full transparency, Studio Connections did not give me these monitors. These are single-handedly the most expensive thing that I have ever bought for my studio. They are the biggest investment that I have ever made. And I think it really makes sense to invest in your monitoring. I mean, I have been quite happy with the HS8s. And obviously, once you've got a budget, you got to work with that, right? But if you've been doing this for as long as which is 15 years plus, I've been making music, doing the pro audio thing, it makes sense that your monitoring is absolutely crucial and does deserve a decent upgrade. Now, this is going from basically driving around in a bum of a car to getting a Ferrari. This is a big leap from where I was. And it's taken me quite a while to realize this is something that I'm generally curious about. This is another world of monitoring that I want to step into. Do I think you have to have amazing speakers like this to create good music? Absolutely not. I have worked on so much great music over the last 15 years on budget, home level monitors. And you know what's really great about that is that those monitors, you see them everywhere. And when you're working on those monitors, you know that a lot of people are going to listen to the work that you're doing on those monitors. So there's a lot of translation when you pass things around. You know that they're going to hear what you're hearing, which is a great thing about that. But what I'm hoping to get out of this by taking that step away from home studio level monitoring to pro audio level monitoring is to hopefully reveal things in my mixes that I just can't hear on the HS8s. I'm hoping that these monitors will help me take my mixes to the next level. And when you love your craft and you're passionate about it, reinvesting into it is pretty much a no-brainer. Okay, so enough waffling. Let's get these glorious monitors set up in the studio. Now, one thing that's really cool about these monitors that I forgot to mention is that because of their design, you can have them vertical or you can lay them horizontal. It doesn't affect their performance in any way, whereas the HS8s, you cannot lay them on the side, and yet you still see people laying them horizontal, even though in the manual it says do not set them up this way because the dispersion is all wrong. But with these monitors, you can set them up like that. So I'm going to put them up here and have a little play around and see which way I think looks the best. This actually makes me think of that episode on The Simpsons where Lou says,
"Hey Chief, can I hold my gun sideways? It looks so cool."
And that's the impression I get when you lay monitors sideways. It just looks cool.
Whatever you want, birthday boy.
Now, when it comes to hooking up the 8351Bs, there is the option for a digital or an analog input. I'm going to be running through the analog input just because my audio interface doesn't really support a digital out without doing too much fiddling around. I know there is some conversion that goes on within the speakers because of the DSP. If you go through the analog input, there is analog to digital conversion and then digital back to analog conversion. So there's an extra little stage of conversion in there, but I'm honestly not concerned about that adding any kind of deterioration to the sound quality. And while I'm making the choice to use the GLM software to calibrate these speakers, there are switches on the back that let you make some calibrations yourself if you don't want to use the software. These are fairly limited adjustments that you can make to the speaker without having to run it through corrective software. All right, which way do you prefer? We've got horizontal We've got vertical. I think that I am going to go with the horizontal setup. I'm going to give it a try, see what it's like. So let's get them both like that. Possible OCD kind of moment here. Because of where the port is on the back of these monitors, I want to make sure that it's positioned symmetrical with the other one. So the port is on the inside. So I want this port to be on the inside on the other side. So to do that, got to set the monitor up this way, branding on the outside, branding on the outside. But because of where the little power light is, this light is going to be on top and that light is going to be on the bottom. That's a potential OCD freak out, but I think I'm just going to do it anyway. Okay, they're hooked up, they're powered on. I'm going to give them a quick listen before we calibrate them. Just want to see what's going on here. I'll reserve my thoughts until we do the GLM correction. So let's get that set up. All right, so this just sits in here, this sits in here, and then we just need to put it in the listening position. So I've got the GLM software all set up. Basically, we take this unit and we plug it into the speakers, and then we connect the speakers together, sort of like an Ethernet style cable. And then there is a USB plug that hooks directly into your computer. And then we use the GLM software, which I have already downloaded and have up on the screen, as well as we hook in the measurement mic in the back here as well. So everything hooks up to this device and then it feeds back into the GLM software. So now we're going to run through some calibration and get these dialed in. Then basically in the GLM software, you just have to set a couple of things up. And this is pretty much what it looks like when you open it up. And you need to select your layout. And basically for me, I'm just doing a stereo setup. But if you had a sub or any of these setups, you would select that. Stereo is quite simple. Basically, you just grab the icons and drag them in. So this is our GLM kit. They recommend you just chuck it in the center. And then we grab our speakers. Now, it makes a sound when you click on it. Got a fuzzy sound coming from the left speaker over there. So we're going to drop that onto the left. Grab our right speaker. Got that static sound again. Drop it into the right. And then basically all you do then is hit confirm layout. And you can name your group. It's 8351B 2.0. And I'm not going to adjust any of this stuff. Input mode, analog, that looks all good. Everything else looks pretty much straightforward. And then we're going to hit confirm group. And so the kit comes with the calibration mic and it has a serial number on it. So you want to check that the serial number up here matches up the serial number on your calibration microphone. And then basically you can go through a couple of calibration modes, single point being that you just measure the 1 point. For me, that is my sitting position. That's what I chose to do, but you can do multi-point and it'll allow you to choose a couple of different positions to take a measurement from. And then you can choose whether you use a symmetrical EQ, which is for left and right pairs of monitors will have the same calibration filters, symmetrical rooms and layouts, or you can use the individual EQ, which will give you left and right pair of monitors will have individual calibration filters, non-symmetrical rooms and layouts. So if your monitors are getting slightly different frequency responses, individual might be a better choice. Now I did symmetrical on the first round. I'm going to go with individual on this round to see what sounds better. And then we're just going to leave it as Cloud Auto Cal 2. That is the recommended calibration mode to work with. So I'm going to put the measurement mic back in here. I'm going to jump out of the way and run the measurements with this individual EQ setup. I have another setting already saved. I can compare the two and decide what works best for me. So once I hit start calibration, I'm going to hop out of the room and let it do its thing. Apparently that's it. It was a lot louder than I expected. Now we can click on each of these monitors and we can see the response and what GLM has done to try and fix it. Okay, so the red is my room and what it's measuring. So you can see there's some pretty big things going on here that aren't exactly fantastic. And then the blue line is the filter. So basically the correction that's being applied. And then the green is the resulting effect after correction. So you can see it doesn't really fix everything. There are some issues that I guess, it can't resolve, but obviously it does the best it can. And that's where possibly using a sub would get a more even better response in this frequency range. That's my left speaker and that's my right speaker. So you can see there's a bit more low end stuff happening on the left hand side, which is a little bit closer to that corner of the room. A bit more of a crazy dip around 100 Hertz there. So it's done what it thinks is best for the space anyway. Okay, so basically once you calibrate it, this is what it looks like. And you can use this as a controller. I probably won't use this as a controller myself. I like to have control with a device on my desk to be able to quickly make changes, as well as if I'm doing monitoring with people. I don't think I will generally have the software running all the time. You can store the calibration in the monitors themselves, which is probably what I'm going to do. But to be able to switch the calibration off and on and compare, I do need to have this stuff all hooked up so I can listen to it, turn the calibration off, and see what difference it's made. Okay, so an album that I've always loved the sound of and I've always come back to over the years is Brand New Eyes from Paramore. So I'm going to listen to a song or two from this that I know quite well, maybe try a couple of other artists, and I'm going to turn the calibration off and on. So I'm not going to include the music that you're hearing now in this playback for copyright reasons, of course. I'll give you my thoughts once I have listened to some music through these monitors and compared the calibration off and on, what I think of it all. It is a huge difference between calibrated and uncalibrated, like immensely different. The speakers sound so different, and once it's calibrated, it's so much more defined. The phantom center is just way punchier, way more in phase, tight, solid sounding. The low end is like clean and punchy, whereas when it's uncalibrated, it's just a bit messy, a bit flabby sounding. The low end's murky. And, a lot of that would come down to the acoustics in the room and how these speakers work in this space when they're uncalibrated. Even looking at that frequency chart, it looks like an absolute mess. It sounds so good after calibration. It's really, really quite a different experience. Now I'm going to listen a little bit more. Clarity is just so nice. With the calibration, everything just sounds so smooth. And the stereo image is really big. Like, you can place things so well in this. And I was listening to a song before and I could hear a synth that I had never heard before in a song. Like, it's crazy what these are revealing. And I think that's awesome, which is absolutely what I was looking for when taking monitoring up to this level. And it's really quite amazing that you can listen to a song that you've heard so many times and then hear something new that you've never heard. It's crazy. So now I'm going to go back to the first calibration I did with the symmetrical EQ rather than individual for each speaker. I want to see how this sounds. I actually think I prefer with the symmetrical EQ calibration. Not sure why, but it just sounds slightly better to me. So I'm going to roll with that. Now, as I said before, you can store your settings into the monitors themselves. So we're going to try that now. We'll go with group preset, store into Genelec devices. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do here. You can set the startup level. So if you want to have it a little bit lower, if your monitor control needs a bit of extra room or you don't want to let the monitors be quite as loud, you can muck around with that stuff, muck around with the maximum level restriction. We'll just put everything to 0 for now. And these monitors have a sleep mode. So if they're inactive, no sound passes through them for a certain period of time, they go into a low power mode and basically go to sleep until audio starts passing through them again, which is really cool for just energy saving. I'm just gonna leave all these settings as they are, but you can turn the LEDs off, which is cool if you don't like seeing that little green light on the front. But also if you chose to do the horizontal monitors, you can turn that light off. So it's going to be less obvious that there's something up higher and lower. That's just probably my reasoning for maybe keeping the LEDs off. And then you just hit store. And so you can set up lots of different measurements. You could put the mic over in the chair at the back of the room where the client's sitting, and when you want to play them the song back, if they're sitting back there, you could flip it into that so that they get the best calibrated listening experience from that position of the room. There's lots of cool things that you can do with that stuff. For me, I'm going to keep it pretty simple and just go with the listening position like this for now, but there's a little bit that you can muck around with there. Okay, so my initial thoughts on the 8351Bs is they sound pretty awesome. They are very revealing. That's what I'll say. They're not like super hyped and super fun sounding speakers. They don't make things sound overly hyped. They just sound how they sound. And I think that's kind of a scary thing because They're very revealing. You can hear when something doesn't sound good, and you can hear when things sound really good. It's very eye-opening, and mixes that you thought were okay before now don't sound so okay. You can hear the problems with them, and mixes that you thought were awesome still sound awesome. So I think they do reveal problems very easily, and that's a good thing realistically, because when you're mixing on them, they should definitely help make your mixes sound a bit better. That's the hope anyway. So I will obviously need to spend some time getting to know these monitors. There's going to be a learning curve, no doubt, where I'm going to be making that adjustment. But I think once I pass that curve, it's definitely going to help my mixes. I was listening to some songs before, and I was hearing things that I've never heard before. Songs that I've listened to heaps of times, and it's like, what? I didn't even know that was in there. There was a synth in a song that I was listening to that I have never heard before, but it was like clear as day that it was just bouncing around on the side of the mix. Crazy. The stereo image is insane on these, and the phantom center after calibration is super tight, really punchy. They are very good sounding monitors, and obviously I'm very, very used to the Yamaha HS8s because I've been working on them for so long. So it's going to take me a moment to disconnect from that, which obviously makes sense because once you've done something for so long, you get really used to it. But even just the little time that I've spent here listening to this, I'm already starting to shift into this. Like, I feel this is going to be a good pairing. And while trying to explain sound and speakers is almost pointless across a video, I hope that that idea comes through, that these monitors are revealing. They're honest. They're very flat. They don't sound overly hyped in any way. They don't sound like the highs are boosted too much. I've seen reviews where people have said that these monitors are too bright, and I don't feel that way at all. They just sound smooth across the board. And if you're looking for monitors that overly hype sounds and sound super exciting but aren't truthful, these aren't the speakers for you. These speakers are telling the truth, and it's a little bit scary. So I'm going to spend some time with these now over the next couple of months, get used to them, start working on them, and then I'm going to report back with an updated review a little bit later, let you know how I'm settling in with everything and how I feel about it all then, because obviously it's quite early days, but it's pretty exciting. And if you've already found your dream monitors, what are you using? Let me know in the comments below. Keen to know what monitors you have set up in your studio, and what are the monitors that you didn't like? Which ones did you go through before you got to the ones that are your forever monitors? If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, if you're interested in Genelec monitors, if you're an audio engineer within Australia or audio enthusiast, make sure you hit that link in the description below. Studio Connections have all of their dealers up there, so you can find the best place to pick up Genelec monitors for yourself. Otherwise, if you're outside of Australia, make sure you hit that Sweetwater affiliate link anytime you need a piece of gear. And if you're thinking about picking up some Genelec monitors, make sure you use that link when you do so. Remember, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but a small commission comes back to this channel. That's an awesome way of showing your support. If you want to support this channel in another way, make sure you hit that link in the description to my website. I've got drum sample packs and mixing courses over there. Grabbing any of that is a huge support. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.